How's it going, everybody? Pozermobil here, and today we're doing something a little different. Over the past week, I've been diving deep into the massive PlayStation Store summer sale, breaking down the best deals, hidden gems, bundles, premium editions, the whole thing. But with so many videos and over 100 games covered, I know it can be tough to keep track of everything. It is for me anyway. So this video is your one-stop shop for everything I've recommended. The greatest hits of the second wave of the summer sale so far, all in one place. I can't do timestamps for every single game. I actually started running into the character limit for a YouTube description again, but I've got timestamps for the different price points so you can jump between those if you want. Or just let it play, and if something I'm talking about piques your interest, you can grab it. Think of this as the second wave of the summer sale podcast, part 1. Whether you missed a few videos or just want the ultimate recap, this is the video for you. That's enough yapping for me, let's get into it. Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast is just $3.49 right now, and this is a cult classic that still holds up in all the best ways. You play as Kyle Katarn, a former Jedi who finds himself pulled back into a fight against the dark side, and the lightsaber combat and force powers make for a gameplay loop that's still satisfying over 20 years later. The campaign has strong level design, and while the AI is old school and a bit janky, the tension and challenge more than make up for it. Fans of Star Wars lore will find tons of love here, and the game hits that sweet spot of nostalgia and genuinely solid gameplay. It's an 89 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 12 hours to platinum. Metro Redux is down to $4.49 and bundles together two fantastic post-apocalyptic shooters with excellent atmosphere and world building. You get both Metro 2033 and Last Light in this package, fully remastered with improved visuals, better mechanics, and two unique difficulty modes that dramatically change the way you approach the game. Whether you prefer stealth or full-on action, the Redux editions give you options, and both campaigns are packed with memorable set pieces and survival horror tension. It's a surprisingly emotional ride too, with moments of beauty scattered among all the bleakness. It's an 86 average on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10 average, and about 40 hours to get the platinum in both games. Ikaruga is on sale for $4.99, and this is one of the most intense and iconic shmups ever made. The twist here is its polarity switching mechanic. You absorb bullets of your own color and die to the opposite, which turns every level into a mind-bending bullet ballet. Say that 10 times fast. The visuals are crisp, the boss fights are brutal, and even though the campaign is short, mastering each level takes dozens of hours. It's a purist's dream and one of the most rewarding games in the genre if you're willing to dig deep and learn its rhythm. It's an 85 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 10 out of 10, and around 100 hours to platinum. Indigo Prophecy, also known as Fahrenheit, is just $2.24 and offers a weird, fascinating blend of supernatural thriller and interactive drama. From the developers of Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human, this was one of the early cinematic narrative games, and it still has charm despite the dated visuals and sometimes laughable dialogue. You're juggling multiple playable characters and trying to unravel a mystery involving ancient rituals, government conspiracies, and some really unexpected plot turns. It's clunky at times, but its ambition and atmosphere make it well worth revisiting. It's an 84 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 40 hours to platinum. Guacamelee 2 is on sale for $4.99 and delivers another excellent mix of Metroidvania exploration, tight platforming, and ridiculous lucha libre flair. The combat is snappy and satisfying, the levels are full of clever puzzles and secrets, and the game just doesn't take itself too seriously. The humor and style are part of the fun. Co-op play is available too, so if you've got a second controller, this is a great one to play with a friend. It improves on the first game in just about every way, and the late-game platforming challenges are actually pretty brutal in a good way. It's an 83 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 5 out of 10, and about 25 hours to platinum. Cinemora EX is just $3.99, and it's a stylish side-scrolling shoot-'em-up with a really unique time-based mechanic. Instead of a traditional health bar, you're racing against the clock. Every hit takes time off the clock, and killing enemies adds more time, which gives the gameplay an incredible sense of urgency. It's also one of the better-looking shmups out there, with a surprisingly emotional narrative and multiple ships and loadouts that keep the gameplay fresh. If you like bullet hell games but want something with more narrative weight and slick visuals, this is an easy pick. It's an 83 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 7 out of 10, and about 35 hours to 100%, no platinum for this one. Metro Exodus is down to $4.49, and it's a massive, open-ended evolution of the Metro formula that still manages to feel grounded and tense. You leave the tunnels and explore large, semi-open environments across a post-apocalyptic Russia, and the mix of scavenging, stealth, and story creates a survival shooter that's both gripping and surprisingly beautiful. The day-night cycle and weather systems add to the immersion, and the story is a strong send-off for Artyom's journey. It's a beefy game with excellent pacing, and the upgrades and crafting systems feel meaningful without being overwhelming. It's an 82 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 5 out of 10, and about 45 hours to platinum. Bloodstained: Curse of the Moon is just $4.99, and it's a love letter to old-school Castlevania fans done in a tight, retro-styled package. You can switch between 4 different characters on the fly, each with unique abilities, which makes every level feel fresh depending on your playstyle. The pixel art and soundtrack are excellent, and the game has a surprising amount of replay value thanks to branching paths and multiple endings. It's short, but it's packed with detail and polish, and the difficulty curve is just right for classic platformer fans. It's an 82 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 15 hours to 100%, no platinum for this one. Invisible Ink Console Edition is down to $4.99, and this is one of the smartest turn-based tactics games you can play on console. It's a cyberpunk stealth strategy game where every move counts, and your agents are always one misstep away from disaster. The art style is slick, the roguelike elements keep each run fresh, and the tension of infiltrating enemy bases without setting off alarms never really fades. It takes patience and precision to master, but it's immensely satisfying when a plan comes together. It's an 82 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 7 out of 10, and about 85 hours to platinum. Stories Untold is a steal at just 99 cents and delivers a uniquely unsettling experience across 4 short, interconnected episodes. It blends text-based adventure gameplay with puzzle solving and horror storytelling, and every episode introduces new twists that tie back into the central mystery. The atmosphere is thick, and even though the gameplay is relatively simple, it's the presentation and narrative design that really shine. It's a short game, but it sticks with you long after the credits roll. It's an 81 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 1 out of 10, and just 2 hours to 100%, no platinum for this one. Moonlighter Complete Edition is down to $2.39 and blends shopkeeping, dungeon crawling, and action RPG mechanics in a surprisingly addictive loop. You explore procedurally generated dungeons at night to gather loot, then sell that loot by day to upgrade your gear and expand your shop. The pixel art is gorgeous, the soundtrack is relaxing, and the gameplay is deeper than it initially seems. If you enjoy that rinse and repeat style of progression and love a good indie grind, this is definitely worth grabbing. It's an 81 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 6 out of 10, and about 25 hours to platinum. Hotline Miami Collection is just $3.99 and includes both games in this ultra-violent, neon-soaked top-down shooter series. It's all about twitch reflexes, brutal trial-and-error gameplay, and one of the best video game soundtracks ever made. The story is cryptic and trippy, and while the difficulty is no joke, it's also incredibly satisfying to clear out a level flawlessly after countless attempts. These games are fast, intense, and leave a lasting impression thanks to their style and pacing. It's an 80 average on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 6 out of 10 average, and about 45 hours to get the platinum in both titles. Mark of the Ninja Remastered is an absolutely slick stealth action platformer that's going for just $4.99 right now, and it's one of the best 2D stealth games ever made. You play as a ninja granted enhanced senses through a mysterious tattoo, and the game's all about moving silently through levels, planning your kills, and staying completely hidden in the shadows. The art style is striking, the sound design is crucial to gameplay, and the campaign constantly introduces new mechanics to keep things fresh and tactical. It has a ton of replayability with different approaches, plus challenge rooms and collectibles that really encourage mastery. It's an 89 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 15 hours to platinum. Hopico is just 69 cents and a perfect pick for anyone who loves lightning-fast, twitchy platformers that demand absolute precision. You're essentially leaping from platform to platform in micro stages that last just a few seconds, trying to destroy viruses that have infected the world's gaming systems. The levels are short but brutally difficult, and the game has a hyper-energetic chiptune soundtrack that keeps the adrenaline pumping. It's designed for speedrunners and perfectionists, and each level has multiple ways to optimize your movement. It's an 88 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 5 out of 10, and around 10 hours to 100%, no platinum for this one. Doom 3 is just $3.99, and this one leans more into horror than the traditional run-and-gun action of the rest of the series. It's slower, darker, and more claustrophobic than Doom 2016 or Eternal, but the atmosphere is thick and tense the entire time. You're on a Mars research facility overrun by demons, and you'll spend as much time checking corners and reloading your flashlight as you do blasting enemies with a shotgun. This version includes the Resurrection of Evil and Lost Mission expansions too, giving you plenty of content in one tight little package. It's an 87 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 6 out of 10, and around 25 hours to platinum. Lacuna is going for just $1.99, and it's one of the most overlooked narrative detective games on the platform, set in a grounded sci-fi universe with a story that can shift dramatically based on your choices. You play as an agent investigating a political conspiracy, and the game doesn't hold your hand. You're expected to follow leads, interrogate suspects, and draw your own conclusions. The pixel art style adds a moody noir flair, and the branching narrative means your decisions really carry weight without an obvious right answer. It's short but replayable and has one of the more impactful endings you can reach. It's an 86 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 2 out of 10, and around 20 hours to platinum. Danmaku Unlimited 3 is on sale for just $3.49, and it's an absolute feast for fans of bullet hell shooters with incredibly tight controls and ridiculously beautiful neon-soaked action. You're flying through impossible swarms of bullets with a deep scoring system and different weapon loadouts that encourage experimentation. It's got both a classic arcade mode and a more modern system with upgrades and bomb management, and the soundtrack by Japanese indie band Blankfield is an absolute banger. If you love old-school shooters like Ikaruga or Mushihime-sama, this is one of the best modern entries in the genre. It's an 84 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 6 out of 10, and about 5 hours to platinum. Crown Trick is down to just $4.99, and it's one of the best roguelike dungeon crawlers that mixes turn-based movement with real-time combat and enemy manipulation. Every room is a puzzle, and combat unfolds in a satisfying grid-based system where you can set traps, teleport, and manipulate elemental effects to gain the upper hand. It's got an adorable art style and excellent variety in both enemies and weapons, with a steady drip of upgrades and systems that make each run feel fresh. Plus, the boss fights are incredibly creative and keep you on your toes with evolving mechanics. It's an 83 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 35 hours to platinum. Cthulhu Saves Christmas is down to $2.49, and this one's a hilarious, irreverent turn-based RPG that blends Lovecraftian mythos with holiday cheer. You play as Cthulhu himself on a quest to save Santa Claus, and the humor is consistently sharp with tons of parody and fourth wall breaking. It's made by the same team as Cosmic Star Heroine, and while it's short, it packs in fast combat, silly characters, and a surprising amount of heart. Perfect if you want an RPG that doesn't take itself seriously but still delivers satisfying gameplay. It's an 83 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and around 5 hours to platinum. One Finger Death Punch 2 is $2.24, and it's one of the most satisfying rhythm action beat-em-ups you can play with just 2 buttons. Every move you make is synced to the enemy's positions and timing, and once you get into the flow, it feels like you're starring in your own martial arts movie. The game adds layer after layer of new mechanics and challenges as you go, but the controls always stay dead simple. With over 400 levels, dozens of survival modes, and a totally absurd sense of humor, it's pure arcade-style fun. It's an 83 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and about 25 hours to platinum. Luminous Remastered is on sale for $4.49, and it's still one of the most hypnotic and engaging puzzle games ever made. You're matching blocks in time with a constantly moving beat line, so every match becomes part of the soundtrack. It's a perfect fusion of rhythm and puzzle gameplay that only gets more intense the deeper you go. This version features a remastered soundtrack, HD visuals, and multiple challenge modes that'll absolutely test your reflexes and pattern recognition. It's an 83 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 8 out of 10, and around 75 hours to platinum. Don't Starve Together Console Edition is just $4.49 and a phenomenal survival sandbox that shines brightest in co-op, though you can absolutely play it solo. You'll need to manage hunger, sanity, and health while crafting tools, building shelters, and avoiding terrifying monsters that emerge at night. The art style is gothic and hand-drawn, and the seasonal cycle introduces new threats and opportunities every time the world changes. It's tough as nails, but also deeply rewarding if you can get a friend or two to join in. It's an 83 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 80 hours to platinum. Batbarian, Testament of the Primordials, is just $2.99, and it's a hidden gem of a Metroidvania with surprisingly witty writing, clever puzzles, and solid platforming combat. You play as a barbarian, accompanied by a magical bat who helps you solve light-based puzzles and fight off subterranean monsters. The world design is tight and interconnected with tons of secrets to uncover, and the humor is consistent without being overbearing. It also features branching dialogue, optional challenges, and multiple endings to encourage exploration. It's an 82 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 6 out of 10, and around 15 hours to platinum. Songbird Symphony is down to $4.24, and it's one of the most charming indie platformers out there, blending light rhythm mechanics with heartfelt storytelling. You play as a tiny orphan bird named Burb, searching for his origins, and each new level introduces musical mechanics tied to learning songs that progress the story. The art is bright and adorable, and the soundtrack is filled with original songs that evolve as you interact with the world. It's a feel-good game that still has some light challenge in its rhythm segments and optional secrets to find. It's an 81 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and about 4 hours to platinum. Slime Rancher is down to $4.99, and this colorful first-person farming sim has a surprisingly relaxing loop where you vacuum up adorable slime creatures, feed them, and manage your ranch economy on a distant alien planet. It's easy to get lost in the satisfaction of building up your farm, discovering rare slimes, and exploring the wild zones around your base. While it's not a very demanding game, the satisfaction comes from the way everything slowly scales up and opens up, with tons of charm and a lighthearted tone throughout. The controls are smooth, and it plays great on console too. It's an 81 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 25 hours to platinum. Rainbow Billy, The Curse of the Leviathan, is just $4.99 right now, and this one's a really unique blend of turn-based battles, puzzle solving, and heartfelt storytelling, all wrapped up in a cheerful, hand-drawn visual style. There's no actual violence in this one. The quote-unquote battles are more like conversations where you learn about each creature's worries and help them through emotional problems. It sounds simple, but it's actually really well written and has a ton of emotional range. There's a bunch of accessibility options too, so this is a great choice for all ages, or if you're just looking for a more feel-good, wholesome experience that still has a good gameplay loop. It's an 81 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and about 20 hours to platinum. Please Fix the Road is on sale for $1.99, and if you're into minimalist puzzle games that really get your brain working, this one's worth grabbing. You're presented with a simple problem. The road is broken, and you have a limited set of tools to rearrange the pieces and fix the path from start to finish. The puzzles slowly introduce more mechanics like shifting terrain or altering pieces in strange ways, but the game never stops being relaxing thanks to its chill music and pastel visuals. It's one of those games that's perfect for short bursts, and you'll probably keep saying just one more puzzle. It's an 80 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 8 hours to platinum. Amnesia Rebirth is just $4.49, and a great pick if you're in the mood for something atmospheric and terrifying. It's a direct follow-up to the original Amnesia and leans hard into psychological horror with intense audio design and a narrative that really gets under your skin. You'll explore eerie ruins, solve environmental puzzles, and try to keep your character from totally breaking down as you uncover disturbing memories and escape otherworldly horrors. There's very little combat here, it's all about survival and storytelling, but it sticks with you long after the credits roll. It's an 80 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 5 out of 10, and takes about 20 hours to platinum. Ghost 1.0 is just $1.99, and don't let the price fool you. This is a full-fledged Metroidvania with surprisingly deep combat and progression. You play as a high-tech agent who can hack into enemies and devices, and the way you move and shoot feels super tight. There's also a whole upgrade system through your robotic sidekicks, which adds depth to both exploration and replayability. It's got a good sense of humor, great pixel art, and a slick techno soundtrack to back it all up. Definitely a sleeper hit for fans of platformers or sci-fi action games. It's an 80 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 6 out of 10, and around 20 hours to platinum. Bar Lone Sails is just $1.49, and this is one of the most atmospheric games on the list. It's more of an experience than a challenge. You pilot a strange, ramshackle land ship across a desolate wasteland, solving minor physics puzzles and keeping your vehicle moving forward while soaking in the melancholic world. There's no dialogue, no enemies, just beautiful art direction and subtle storytelling told through the environment. It's short but emotionally impactful and incredibly polished. It's an 80 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and takes about 8 hours to 100%, no platinum for this one. Elite Dangerous is just $4.99, and if you're the kind of player who loves deep space sims, this is by far the biggest time sink in the sale. You start with a small ship and a few credits and can carve out your path as a bounty hunter, trader, explorer, or pirate in a galaxy that mirrors the actual Milky Way in scale. There's a massive amount of content here, especially if you're into customizing your ship or diving into community goals and player factions. It's a steep learning curve, but it's one of the most rewarding sandbox games out there if you put in the time. It's an 80 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 6 out of 10, and it can easily run you over 400 hours to platinum. Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams Director's Cut is down to $2.99, and this is a criminally underrated precision platformer with a great core mechanic. You can switch between two sisters on the fly, each with their own abilities, and the entire world transforms depending on who you're playing as. It's fast, fluid, and the level design keeps pushing your reflexes without ever feeling unfair. The director's cut adds extra levels and tighter polish, making this the best version to play. Just be warned, the platinum is brutal. It's an 80 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty is a rough 10 out of 10, and you're looking at 25 hours to platinum if you're good enough. Buddy Simulator 1984 is going for $3.99, and this is one of the more experimental picks here. It starts out like an innocent text-based buddy app and slowly evolves into something way darker and more psychological. It plays with genre, expectation, and even your own behavior as it builds towards its eerie conclusion. The charm comes from its ability to shift between styles while keeping a central mystery intact, and it's surprisingly touching at times. If you liked games like One Shot or Doki Doki Literature Club, this one's in the same lane. It's a 79 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 15 hours to platinum. The Night Witch is just $4.99, and it's an extremely stylish mix of Metroidvania platforming and bullet hell shoot-'em-up action, with a unique twist in how you upgrade your spells using a deck-building mechanic. You fly around 2.5D levels, dodging dense waves of projectiles while building a magical arsenal to suit your playstyle, and the combat feels smooth and fast-paced throughout. There's also a surprisingly strong story with themes of corruption and resistance that play into how you level up. It's one of the more under-the-radar picks in this sale, but well worth a look. It's a 79 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 12 hours to platinum. Rift Tracks, the game, is only $4.49, and this one's all about party game laughs. It's from the same creators as What the Dub, and it plays very similarly. You watch intentionally terrible movie clips and try to come up with the funniest lines to fill in the dialogue, with other players voting for the best ones. It supports up to 6 players directly, but others can vote as part of the audience too. It's a blast if you're playing with friends, especially in person or over a stream. Short but sweet and very replayable with the right group. It's a 79 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and you can knock out the platinum in about 2 hours. The Last Show of Mr. Chardish is just $2.49, and this one's more of a narrative experience with some light puzzle platforming sections. You explore the legacy of a famous theater director through vignettes that span different game genres, from walking sim to stylized platformer to abstract puzzle. The art direction is unique, and each quote-unquote play you enter has its own visual flair and mechanical twist. It's not particularly difficult, but it's a creative and emotional ride worth seeing through. It's a 79 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and about 6 hours to platinum. Final Fantasy VII is just $6.39 right now, and if you've somehow never played this all-time classic, it's absolutely worth it. The original version still holds up, and the materia system gives it a level of customization most RPGs still don't match. You'll be getting the same iconic story, music, and characters that redefined the genre back in 1997, and even if the graphics are dated, the turn-based combat is still super satisfying. This version also includes speed up and no encounter cheats, so you can modernize the experience a little without breaking it. It's a 92 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 40 hours to platinum. Journey is $7.49, and even though it's short, it's still one of the most emotional and unique games ever made. It's a wordless, exploration-focused adventure through a vast desert where the music, visuals, and fluid movement all work together to create a vibe that just hits different. You can run into random players on the same journey, and even without talking, there's this surprising sense of connection as you help each other out. The seamless multiplayer and art direction make this feel timeless, and it's still one of the most recommended indies for a reason. It's a 92 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 2 out of 10, and it takes about 5 hours to finish, no platinum for this one. Slay the Spire is $8.49, and if you like roguelikes or deck-building games, this is the gold standard. You build your deck as you ascend the spire, facing tougher enemies and crazy random events that constantly make you rethink your strategy. The game's 4 characters all play completely differently, and once you've learned the ropes, you'll be tweaking every decision to perfection. It's endlessly replayable, has incredible synergy potential, and if you're trophy hunting, this one will absolutely test your patience. It's an 89 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 8 out of 10, and it'll take you around 100 hours to platinum. Dreams is down to $7.99, and even though Media Molecule isn't updating it anymore, the community creations are still worth diving into. It's basically a game engine where you can create and share full games, music, animations, or just mess around and play what others have made. Some of the stuff people have built is genuinely impressive, and there's a curated set of dreams that the devs have highlighted if you don't know where to start. It's not really a traditional game, but if you've got a creative side or just like exploring weird projects, there's nothing else quite like it. It's an 89 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and about 75 hours of platinum. Max Payne is $8.99, and if you missed this one back in the day, now's a perfect time to go back and see where bullet time really took off. It's a gritty noir third-person shooter with some iconic slow-mo action, and the voiceover narration gives it this really distinct, pulpy tone. The gunplay still feels tight, the story has that old-school edginess, and even though it's a product of its time, it holds up surprisingly well. It's short and replayable, and the soundtrack hits hard with its bleak mood. It's an 89 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 8 out of 10, and around 25 hours of platinum. Kill Knight is $7.49, and this one's a fast-paced, twin-stick shooter with an aggressive, stylish aesthetic. You're basically a cybernetic monster slashing through hordes of enemies in tight arenas, and the movement alone makes it feel awesome. The game has a super high skill ceiling, and if you're chasing high scores or leaderboard placements, it'll hook you fast. Every run is about execution and speed, so if you're into challenging arcade-style gameplay, it's an easy pick. It's an 88 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 6 out of 10, and around 35 hours to platinum. Doom Eternal is just $9.99, and it's still one of the best feeling shooters out there if you're into fast, aggressive gameplay. The combat is basically a dance of ripping, tearing, and resource management, and every enemy type demands a specific strategy. You'll be constantly switching weapons and tools while staying mobile, and the arenas are designed to keep you moving at all times. The story has surprisingly solid moments that add depth to the action, but the gameplay is absolutely the main event here. It's an intense challenge that rewards skill and quick thinking, and the level design keeps you on your toes throughout. It's an 88 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and around 30 hours to platinum. XCOM 2 Digital Deluxe Edition is only $7.49 and includes the base game plus the War of the Chosen expansion, which adds a ton of new mechanics and enemies. This is one of the best tactical strategy games on console, with permadeath, RNG, and base building creating a constant sense of tension. You'll need to balance short-term missions with long-term upgrades, and every battle feels like it could tip in either direction. It's brutal, smart, and deeply satisfying when your strategies pay off. It's an 88 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 9 out of 10, and a solid 100 hours to platinum. Fallout 4 is just $7.99, and even though it's not everyone's favorite in the series, it's still a massive open-world RPG with a ton of content. The gunplay feels way better than in Fallout 3, and the settlement building adds a ton of creativity if you're into that. The story's decent, but the real strength is in exploring the Commonwealth, finding weird side quests, and customizing your gear. It's got that Bethesda jank, sure, but also that sense of freedom and discovery that still hits. It's an 87 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 50 hours to platinum. Little Noah, Scion of Paradise is just $5.99, and if you're into roguelites, this one's a charming surprise that didn't get much attention. You'll build up a team of little elemental creatures called Lilliputs and string together combos as you fight your way through randomized dungeons. It's got a colorful art style, smooth combat, and a decent amount of progression as you unlock new abilities. It's approachable for newcomers, but still deep enough to keep you experimenting with builds. It's an 87 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 100 hours to platinum. Katamari Damacy Reroll is $7.49, and it's just pure joy in game form. You roll a ball that collects everything in its path, starting with paperclips and ending with skyscrapers. The music is iconic, the gameplay is weirdly relaxing, and it's the kind of game that's hard to explain but easy to love. It's a faithful remaster of the PS2 classic, and if you want something lighthearted and different, this is a must-play. There's a goofy charm to everything, and it's still one of the most unique games out there. It's an 87 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and about 20 hours to platinum. Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus is just $5.99, and if you like old-school shooters with modern flair, this one's an intense ride. The shooting is fast and violent, the story goes places, and the performances, especially from the villains, are genuinely great. You're dual-wielding shotguns and blowing through Nazi strongholds with style, but there's also surprisingly emotional character work throughout. It's hard, it's loud, and it doesn't pull any punches with its themes. It's an 87 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 10 out of 10, and about 50 hours to platinum. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition is the gold standard for open-world RPGs, and this Complete Edition gives you the base game along with the two massive expansions, Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, both of which could honestly be standalone games in their own right. You'll step into the boots of Geralt of Rivia and explore a massive fantasy world full of meaningful side quests, branching narratives, monster hunts, and morally complex choices that actually matter. From the brutal swamps of Velen to the vibrant vineyards of Toussaint, every area feels handcrafted and teeming with life, and on PS5 you're getting updated visuals, performance boosts, and tons of quality of life improvements. It's a 92 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 7 out of 10, and about 110 hours to platinum. Bully is a cult classic from Rockstar that trades guns and gang wars for slingshots and schoolyard brawls, offering an open-world experience set in the halls and dorms of Bulworth Academy. You play as Jimmy Hopkins, a troubled teen sent to a corrupt boarding school, and over the course of the game you'll navigate cliques, attend weird minigames disguised as classes, pull pranks, ride bikes, and slowly take over the school's social hierarchy. It's got that signature Rockstar mix of satire, chaos, and heart, with a ton of variety in its missions and a surprisingly strong narrative for its setting. It's an 87 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 20 hours to platinum. Flower is a beautifully minimalist and emotional experience that offers something totally different from most games. You're essentially the wind, guiding a single petal that grows into a vibrant stream of color as you pass through desaturated landscapes. Each level has a unique visual theme and subtly evolves in tone as you interact with the world, going from serene and meditative to dark and poignant. There's no dialogue, combat, or failure states, just simple controls, stunning visuals, and a memorable soundtrack that builds as you progress. It's ideal for a short, peaceful session when you want something more introspective. It's an 87 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 2 out of 10, and about 6 hours to 100%, no platinum for this one. Bang On Balls Chronicles is a goofy physics-based platformer that leans hard into its chaos and humor, letting you play as a customizable ball rolling through huge open-ended maps inspired by historical settings like Viking villages and pirate forts. There's combat, puzzles, collectibles, and co-op support, and it's all wrapped in a polished engine that makes the slapstick action really satisfying. The game doesn't take itself seriously, but there's a surprising amount of depth in how you can approach challenges, and the world design invites exploration and experimentation. If you're looking for something offbeat and surprisingly well made, this one's worth a spin. See what I did there? It's an 86 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 3 hours to platinum. Pentiment is a slow-burn narrative RPG from Obsidian that drops you into a hand-illustrated world inspired by medieval manuscripts and woodcuts, where you play as an artist caught in a web of murder, scandal, and shifting alliances over a period of decades. What makes it special is how deeply it commits to its historical setting. Every dialogue choice, character interaction, and piece of lore feels grounded in the beliefs, conflicts, and customs of the 16th century. The game evolves based on your choices and social standing, and while there's no combat, the tension comes from navigating relationships and trying to do the right thing in a world where justice is rarely fair. It's an 86 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and about 25 hours to platinum. Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch Remastered is a touching and visually stunning JRPG that blends the charm of a Ghibli movie with classic turn-based mechanics and creature collecting. You play as Oliver, a young boy who travels to a magical world to save his mother, encountering whimsical characters and battling evil forces along the way. The remastered version cleans up the visuals and runs beautifully on modern hardware, and the gameplay loop of capturing and evolving familiars adds depth and replay value. The game's world is massive, its soundtrack is incredible, and the story hits hard with themes of grief and healing. It's an 86 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 80 hours to platinum. Bug Fables: The Everlasting Sapling is a love letter to the classic Paper Mario formula, complete with charming 2D visuals, turn-based battles that reward timing, and a heartfelt story starring 3 bug heroes. You'll explore varied environments like deserts, swamps, and ancient ruins, solving puzzles and taking on strategic battles that require you to carefully manage your party's unique abilities. The writing is clever and full of personality, and there's a ton of optional content to uncover for those who want to dig deeper. It's a surprisingly deep and polished indie RPG that stands proudly alongside its inspiration. It's an 85 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 35 hours to platinum. Dead Rising is the original time-pressure zombie-slaying sandbox, dropping you into a massive shopping mall overrun with undead and giving you 72 in-game hours to rescue survivors, battle psychopaths, and piece together what caused the outbreak. You play as Frank West, a photojournalist who's covered wars and now has to fend off the horde using a unique variety of weapons, from chainsaws to cash registers. The strict time system creates real tension, forcing you to prioritize missions and accept that you can't save everyone on a single run. Despite some clunky mechanics, it's still a creative, chaotic, and satisfying game. It's an 85 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 5 out of 10, and about 35 hours to platinum. The Warriors is one of Rockstar's best hidden gems, a gritty beat-em-up that expands on the cult classic movie with prequel content, full voice acting, and a brutal combat system. You'll control different members of the gang as they fight their way back to Coney Island through rival turf, with gameplay that blends brawling, stealth, and environmental destruction. It supports local co-op and has an arcade-style presentation that makes it perfect for quick sessions or full playthroughs with a buddy. Even today, it holds up with its unique style and deep respect for the source material. It's an 85 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 2 out of 10, and about 15 hours to 100%, no platinum for this one. Ollie Ollie World Rad Edition includes both the Finding the Flow Zone and Void Riders expansions, offering a massive amount of content and one of the most stylish and fluid skateboarding games ever made. The gameplay blends rhythm, puzzle solving, and platforming as you chain together tricks through vibrant, hand-drawn levels with increasingly complex layouts. The expansions add new mechanics, biomes, and characters, and the challenge ramps up significantly for those chasing perfect runs and high scores. Whether you're in it for the vibes or the high skill ceiling, this is one of the best skate games in years. It's an 84 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 7 out of 10, and about 50 hours to platinum. Griftlands is a smart, narrative-driven roguelike deck builder where every decision matters, whether you're negotiating peace, winning a bar fight, or turning enemies into allies. It features 2 separate decks for combat and diplomacy, and both systems are deep and rewarding, with tons of synergy and customization. Each run is shaped by your choices, the quests you take, and how you handle random events, leading to multiple endings and lots of replayability. The writing is excellent, the world building is rich, and it constantly forces you to think on your feet. It's an 84 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 8 out of 10, and about 55 hours to platinum. Vanquish is a hyperkinetic third-person shooter from Platinum Games where you slide around on jet-powered knees, slow down time mid-dodge, and blast through waves of enemies in a non-stop bullet storm. The story is basically sci-fi nonsense, but it's just an excuse for one of the fastest, most stylish combat systems ever put in a shooter. Mastering the dodge boost system and chaining kills feels incredibly satisfying, and while it's short, it's extremely replayable, especially if you're chasing high scores or going for the hardest difficulties. It's an 84 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 9 out of 10, and about 15 hours to platinum. First up, the Valkyria Chronicles Remastered and Valkyria Chronicles 4 bundle is down to just $7.99, which is a steal for 2 full tactical RPG campaigns with that signature watercolor art style. The original Valkyria Chronicles helped redefine strategy combat on consoles when it first dropped, and Valkyria Chronicles 4 builds on that formula with new characters, classes, and an emotionally charged story that digs deeper into the human cost of war. Both games offer large-scale turn-based battles with third-person shooting, customizable squad mechanics, and a genuinely compelling world to get lost in. It's an 86 on Metacritic, an average trophy difficulty of around 3 out of 10, and around 95 hours to platinum both games in the bundle. Soulcalibur 6 is currently just $9.59 and still holds up as one of the better 3D fighters on PlayStation thanks to its satisfying weapon-based combat, flexible create-a-character mode, and guest appearances like Geralt from The Witcher. With 2 full-length story campaigns and a surprisingly meaty roster that rewards both casual mashers and hardcore combo labbers, it's a solid pickup whether you're into couch versus or ranked grind. It's got great stage variety and buttery smooth mechanics, especially once you dig into the reversal edge and guard impact systems. It's an 84 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 30 hours to platinum. The Deus Ex Mankind Divided Digital Deluxe Edition is down to just $6.74, and that includes all the Season Pass content, the Covert Agent Pack, and an extra story mission called Desperate Measures. This is a cyberpunk stealth action game with a ton of freedom in how you approach each objective, whether you want to hack your way through locked doors, sneak through air vents, or go loud with customizable weapons. It might not have hit quite the same narrative highs as Human Revolution, but the moment-to-moment gameplay is extremely tight, and Prague remains one of the coolest hub worlds of that generation. It's an 84 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 45 hours to platinum. Valfaris Mechatherian is a wild, heavy metal-infused shoot-'em-up that's going for just $5.99 right now, and it brings a slick blend of side-scrolling action and bullet hell chaos, all set to a brutal soundtrack that totally fits the vibe. This spin-off of the original Valfaris takes the over-the-top action into full mech shooter territory, where you pilot a massive death machine through space while blasting anything that moves. The visuals are gritty and detailed, the gameplay is snappy and responsive, and the weapon variety is surprisingly deep for a game of this scale. It's not particularly long, but the high-octane energy and sheer style of it make it a memorable ride for fans of fast-paced indie action. It's an 83 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and about 6 hours to platinum. 2 Point Campus is marked down to $5.99, and it's one of the most charming and creative management sims out there, letting you build and run a quirky university filled with students studying everything from wizardry to espionage. If you played 2 Point Hospital, you'll know the tone is goofy, but the gameplay can get deep, and you'll be juggling course development, staff management, student needs, and campus layout, all while trying to meet academic goals. The visual style is colorful and lighthearted, but under the hood is a genuinely well-tuned sim that rewards strategic thinking and efficient design. There's also a sandbox mode if you want to just experiment without any restrictions. It's an 83 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 30 hours to platinum. Killer Frequency is on sale for $7.49, and this one's a stylish narrative thriller with a clever radio DJ mechanic that makes it stand out. Set in the late 80s, you play as a radio host in a small town, taking calls from citizens being hunted by a serial killer. And you have to help them survive using only what you know from their call and what's available in your studio. It's a smart twist on the horror genre, mixing puzzle solving and quick decision making with a surprisingly fleshed out world and a great retro vibe. The voice acting is strong, the writing is sharp, and there's just enough tension to keep you on edge without ever turning into full-on horror. It's an 82 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 2 out of 10, and about 10 hours to platinum. Chicken Police Paint It Red is going for $6.99, and this one's a noir-style visual novel with some of the most bizarre yet striking character designs in the genre. Think gritty detective thriller, but everyone's anthropomorphic animals. You play as Sonny Featherland, a hard-boiled rooster detective coming out of retirement for one last case, and the game absolutely nails the noir tone with sharp dialogue, moody jazz, and a fully voiced story that goes deeper than you'd expect. The blend of FMV-like graphics and surreal animal characters works better than it has any right to, and the point-and-click investigation mechanics are solid too. If you want a short but memorable story-driven experience, this is a great pick. It's an 82 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and about 7 hours to platinum. Little Nightmares 2 is just $5.99 right now, and this horror platformer is a masterclass in atmosphere, telling a dark, wordless story through eerie environments and creepy character design. You play as Mono, a young boy navigating a surreal world alongside the girl from the first game, and the pair are constantly stalked by grotesque, twisted figures that turn every level into a tense, unsettling experience. The puzzles are simple but effective, and the visual storytelling is some of the best you'll find in any modern horror game. It's not overly long, but it packs a punch with some standout sequences and a haunting finale that sticks with you. It's an 82 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and about 6 hours to platinum. Chivalry 2 is on sale for $7.99, and this is one of the most fun multiplayer brawlers around, offering massive medieval battles with swords, spears, bows, and just about anything else you can swing or throw. It's chaotic in the best way, letting you dive into 64-player skirmishes where you'll clash on castle walls, storm fortresses, and duel in muddy fields, all with a ridiculous amount of slapstick carnage. The combat is skill-based but easy to pick up, and the game encourages both serious tactics and total chaos. It also supports crossplay and has a pretty active player base, so it's easy to get into even now. It's an 82 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 5 out of 10, and about 40 hours to platinum. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 is $5.99, and if you're into retro action games, this is a must-play. Developed by Inti Creates, it's a follow-up to the 8-bit inspired spin-off of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and it brings that same crisp pixel art, tight platforming, and multiple playable characters with different abilities. The level design is sharp, the boss fights are challenging but fair, and there's even some solid replay value thanks to branching paths and different endings. It feels like a love letter to classic Castlevania games, but with a modern polish and smoother controls. It's an 82 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 2 out of 10, and about 10 hours to platinum. Borderlands Legendary Collection is down to $9.99, and this bundle packs an insane amount of content with full versions of Borderlands Game of the Year Edition, Borderlands 2, and Borderlands the Pre-Sequel, all with their DLCs. If you're into looter shooters, this is one of the best value bundles you can grab, with hundreds of guns, massive open levels, and a ton of co-op content you can play solo or with friends. The humor might not be for everyone, but the gameplay loop of shooting, looting, and upgrading is still rock solid and holds up surprisingly well today. It's an 83 average on Metacritic, average trophy difficulty of around 4 out of 10, and about 160 hours to platinum all 3 games in the bundle. Yooka-Laylee in the Impossible Lair is going for $5.99, and it's a fantastic 2.5D platformer that blends Donkey Kong Country-style level design with a surprisingly clever overworld puzzle system. The controls are tight, the visuals are vibrant, and the soundtrack, composed by industry legends like David Wise and Grant Kirkhope, is top tier. Each level has alternate versions you can unlock by changing environmental elements in the overworld, giving the game a lot more depth than it initially lets on. The titular Impossible Lair is a brutal final gauntlet you can technically attempt at any time, but building your power by saving bee allies throughout the game makes it much more manageable. It's an 82 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 6 out of 10, and about 25 hours of platinum. Grand Theft Auto V is down to $19.79, and while it might be over a decade old at this point, Rockstar has continued to support the game with a constant stream of content and quality of life improvements, especially for the online mode. The single-player campaign still holds up as one of the best open-world stories out there, full of memorable missions, unpredictable characters, and a level of polish that few games have matched since. Between the story, side content, and all the time you can dump into GTA Online, there's hundreds of hours of potential gameplay here. It's a game you can always come back to when you're in the mood for chaos, and it's still getting consistent updates today. I did cover this in the first wave of deals, but this is the cross-buy version. It's the same price, so if you didn't buy it on the first go-around, you've got a second chance. It's a 97 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and around 150 hours to platinum. Red Dead Redemption 2 Ultimate Edition is just $19.99, and this is easily one of the most cinematic and emotionally resonant games of the last generation, with its massive world, jaw-dropping visuals, and incredible character work. You get the full base game, plus bonus story mode content and online perks, which makes this version of the game an amazing deal if you're jumping in for the first time or looking to revisit it. It's slower paced than GTA, but that works to its benefit. It's a game that asks you to soak in the details and lose yourself in the world. The amount of side content is staggering, and just traveling from one place to another can lead to some of the best unscripted moments in gaming. It's a 97 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 5 out of 10, and around 200 hours to platinum. Final Fantasy VI is down to $11.69, and this is the newly released Pixel Remaster version that brings one of the greatest JRPGs of all time to modern consoles with upgraded visuals and sound. This version also includes quality of life features like faster battles and adjustable XP gain, which makes it easier to enjoy without compromising the original experience. The game has a massive ensemble cast, an unforgettable villain, and some genuinely shocking moments that hold up even today. It's a great way to see where a lot of Final Fantasy's best ideas came from, and the updated look really makes the pixel art pop on modern displays. It's a 92 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 40 hours to platinum. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is on sale for $15.99, and this remake collection is pure nostalgia fuel, bringing the legendary skating games into the modern era with tight controls, updated graphics, and the classic soundtrack intact. It's not just a graphical update though, the game feels modern and smooth while still preserving the trick systems and level layouts that made the originals so addictive. Whether you're chasing high scores or trying to nail a perfect line, there's a ton of challenge and replay value here. The inclusion of online leaderboards and a surprisingly decent custom park builder adds a lot of longevity too. It's a 92 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 8 out of 10, and around 70 hours to platinum. Crusader Kings 3 is $19.99, and this is a deeply complex strategy game where you manage not just armies and empires, but entire dynasties with marriages, betrayals, and backstabbing all part of the fun. It's the kind of game where no two campaigns are ever alike, and it's just as much about role-playing your way through history as it is about pure tactics. The console version is surprisingly smooth for a game that originated on PC, and once you get a handle on the UI, it becomes incredibly addictive. It's not for everyone, but if you're into strategy or medieval politics, this is about as deep as it gets. It's a 91 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 7 out of 10, and around 200 hours to platinum. Disco Elysium: The Final Cut is $11.99, and this is a dialogue-heavy RPG that plays more like a surreal detective novel than a traditional game, with a story that changes dramatically based on your choices. The writing is some of the best in gaming, philosophical, funny, dark, and completely unpredictable, and the voice acting in this version brings it all to life in a major way. There's no combat in the traditional sense, but the depth of the skill system and the way your internal thoughts influence the narrative is something truly special. It's unlike anything else on the market and worth experiencing for the story alone. It's an 89 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 6 out of 10, and around 60 hours to platinum. Deathloop Deluxe Edition is just $15.99, and this version includes bonus weapons and character skins on top of the base game, which is a stylish first-person shooter with a time loop twist. You're trying to assassinate 8 targets across one repeating day, but the brilliance comes in learning the patterns, unlocking shortcuts, and turning each loop into an increasingly efficient murder puzzle. The combat is fast and flashy, and the art direction and soundtrack give it a really distinct vibe. It's one of those games that rewards creative problem solving and experimentation, and figuring out how everything connects is incredibly satisfying. It's an 88 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and around 20 hours to platinum. Doom Eternal Deluxe Edition is down to $17.49, and this includes both parts of the Ancient Gods DLC, making it a complete package that delivers some of the most aggressive and satisfying first-person combat in the genre. The game pushes you to constantly be on the move, swapping weapons and using every tool at your disposal to survive, creating this wild rhythm that feels closer to a high-speed puzzle than a standard shooter. The DLC is no joke either. It's brutally difficult and adds some great boss fights and level designs to an already stacked campaign. If you're looking for a pure adrenaline rush and don't mind a challenge, this is the one. I did cover Doom Eternal in yesterday's video, but I figured since this is both more expensive and includes more content that I'd add this in as well. It's an 88 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and around 30 hours to platinum. Diablo 3 Eternal Collection is $19.79, and this version includes the base game, the Reaper of Souls expansion, and the Necromancer pack, giving you access to all classes and content in one bundle. It's an isometric action RPG that's all about loot, builds, and tearing through waves of enemies in increasingly tougher dungeons. The console version is super polished and works great with a controller, making it one of the easiest ways to jump into the genre. It's great in solo play, but it's even better in co-op, whether online or local. It's an 88 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 6 out of 10, and around 60 hours to platinum. 8-Bit Adventures 2 is $14.99, and it's a throwback JRPG that combines classic 8-bit visuals with modern design sensibilities, offering a surprisingly deep and emotional story alongside fast-paced, turn-based combat. It pays homage to NES-era RPGs without feeling dated, and the soundtrack is full of catchy, chiptune tracks that stick with you. There's a lot of personality packed into its pixelated characters, and the pacing makes it easy to get invested. It's a great palate cleanser between bigger games, but it still manages to leave a strong impression. It's an 87 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 5 out of 10, and around 35 hours to platinum. Psychonauts 2 is $11.99, and this is a platformer bursting with creativity where every level is a physical manifestation of someone's mind, from a cooking show inside a brain to a psychedelic concert full of emotional baggage. The writing is witty, the characters are lovable, and the gameplay is tight and constantly evolving. It strikes a perfect balance between humor and heartfelt storytelling, touching on serious mental health themes without losing its charm. It's easily one of the most imaginative games in the genre. It's an 87 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 25 hours to platinum. Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector is $18.74, and this narrative RPG is the sequel to one of the most critically acclaimed indie games in recent years, building on the original Cyberpunk setting and dice roll mechanics with even more depth. You're trying to survive on the fringes of a crumbling capitalist future, forging alliances, managing time, and struggling to make ends meet, all while uncovering a mysterious larger story. The art and soundtrack create a really immersive vibe, and your decisions have long-term consequences that shape how the story unfolds. It's a slow burn, but incredibly rewarding if you like story-driven games with meaningful choices. It's an 86 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 15 hours to platinum. First up is Dead Cells, which is down to $12.49 and still one of the most finely tuned action platformers available. This roguelike Metroidvania hybrid combines slick, fast-paced combat with a massive variety of weapons, powers, and enemy types, all randomized across procedurally generated levels that change every run. Over the years, it's been supported with a ton of free and paid DLC, including crossovers with games like Castlevania, Hotline Miami, and Hollow Knight, which only add to its replayability. If you enjoy tight controls, fast combat, and a real sense of progression, this one's a no-brainer. It's sitting at an 89 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 7 out of 10, and about 50 hours to platinum. Next is the Dead Space Digital Deluxe Edition, on sale for $15.99, and it's easily one of the best horror games available on modern consoles. This remake of the 2008 classic elevates everything, from its zero-G combat and overhauled visuals to its re-recorded voice lines and seamless map transitions. The atmosphere is thick with tension, and the sound design is genuinely next level, keeping you on edge even during the quieter moments. The Digital Deluxe Edition adds a handful of cosmetics, but the real value is just how well the game holds up thanks to its careful modernization. It's an 89 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and takes about 40 hours to platinum. Monster Hunter Rise and Sunbreak Deluxe is down to $19.59 and is one of the most content-rich packages in the genre. Rise was already a massive step forward for accessibility and speed in Monster Hunter's formula, with new mechanics like wire bugs and customizable companions called Palamutes, but Sunbreak cranks things up even more with master rank hunts, new gear trees, and a whole new endgame progression loop. Whether you're teaming up online or tackling monsters solo, there's a mountain of content to dig into, and it remains one of the most satisfying combat systems in gaming. It's sitting at an 88 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 5 out of 10, and takes around 250 hours to platinum. The Hazelight bundle, currently $19.79, includes It Takes Two and A Way Out, and both are must-plays if you've got a co-op partner handy. It Takes Two is a vibrant, genre-shifting journey through the emotional struggles of a couple facing divorce, with levels that constantly change up gameplay mechanics, from platforming and puzzle solving to full-on action sequences. A Way Out leans more cinematic, putting you in the shoes of two prison inmates trying to escape and survive together. Neither game can be played solo, but the couch or online co-op focus makes the experience incredibly engaging. It's an 83 average between the two games on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10 between the two, and about 20 hours to platinum both titles. Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire Ultimate Edition is $14.99 and one of the most expansive CRPGs you can get on console. Set in a beautifully realized archipelago, the game builds on the first pillars in nearly every way. A richer story, deeper characters, enhanced ship-to-ship combat, and meaningful world exploration. The writing and voice acting are top-notch, with complex moral choices and consequences that ripple throughout your playthrough. The Ultimate Edition bundles in all major DLC and balances, offering hundreds of hours of tactical combat and role-playing depth for fans of games like Baldur's Gate or Divinity. It's an 88 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 2 out of 10, and around 80 hours to platinum. For $14.99, Odin Sphere Leifthraseer is a criminally underrated gem that blends lush, hand-drawn art with real-time 2D action RPG combat and a deep, interwoven narrative. This isn't just a port, it's a full remake of the PS2 original with improved frame rate, revamped mechanics, and a rebalanced progression system that makes it more accessible without sacrificing depth. Each of the 5 playable characters offers a unique spin on combat and storytelling, and the Norse myth-inspired world is rich with lore and melancholic beauty. Between the visual style and satisfying gameplay loop, this is a must-play for fans of Vanillaware or action RPGs. It's sitting at an 87 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and about 35 hours to platinum. Monster Train, now just $13.74, is a highly replayable deck builder with a fiery twist, literally. Your goal is to protect the last burning pyre of hell aboard a massive train barreling through frozen wastelands, while enemies board in waves across 3 vertical battlefields. You'll draft cards, manage upgrades, and synergize different demon factions in ways that allow for endless experimentation and strategic depth. There's a ton of variety and challenge here, with daily runs, mutators, and unlockable modifiers that keep it feeling fresh even after dozens of hours. It's an 86 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and takes about 100 hours to platinum. The Kingdom 2 Crowns Essentials Pack is $14.99 and includes the base game plus the Norse Lands and Call of Olympus expansions, making this the best way to experience one of the most relaxing strategy games on PSN. You play as a monarch traveling across side-scrolling pixel worlds using only coins to manage your subjects, upgrade defenses, and slowly push back the creepy nighttime monsters called the Greed. The expansions add new biomes, mounts, and seasonal effects that bring fresh twists to your campaigns. It's a perfect mix of minimalist design and addictive progression. It's an 85 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and about 20 hours to platinum. Stasis Bone Totem is down to $11.99 and offers a gripping, slow-burn sci-fi horror experience for fans of old-school point-and-click adventures. You'll alternate between 3 characters with different abilities as they explore a mysterious deep-sea facility, uncovering a narrative filled with corporate greed, loss, and otherworldly threats. The isometric visuals and eerie sound design do a great job of selling the oppressive underwater atmosphere, and the puzzles are satisfyingly tricky without ever becoming frustrating. There's no platinum trophy here, but if you like methodical pacing, strong writing, and horror vibes, it's still absolutely worth your time. It's an 85 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 5 out of 10, and takes about 20 hours to get to 100%. The 2 Point Hospital and 2 Point Campus Double Pack is on sale for $14.99 and brings together 2 of the best and funniest sim games in recent years. Hospital gives you the Jumbo Edition, complete with DLC like Bigfoot, Peverly Reef, Close Encounters, and Off the Grid, each adding new locations and challenges. Campus lets you design wacky universities filled with jousting classes, wizard schools, and space academies, and managing your students' happiness and success is just as important as profit. These games offer huge replay value and are great for players who enjoy micromanagement with a side of absurd humor. They're an 83 average on Metacritic, trophy difficulty average around 5 out of 10, and around 110 hours to platinum both games. Final Fantasy IV, just $11.69, is a cornerstone of the JRPG genre, and the Pixel Remaster version is a great way to experience it. The remastered graphics stay faithful to the original sprites while smoothing things out for modern displays, and the updated music is absolutely fantastic. Cecil's story of redemption, betrayal, and unlikely heroism set the tone for countless RPGs that followed, and the pacing still holds up remarkably well today. If you're trying to get into classic Final Fantasy or just want a bite-sized RPG with heart and history, this one's for you. It's sitting at an 85 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 30 hours to platinum. Last up is Deep Rock Galactic Deluxe Edition for $12.86, a fantastic value for one of the most chaotic, satisfying co-op shooters out there. You and up to 3 friends play as dwarves exploring procedurally generated cave systems filled with alien bugs, minerals, and mayhem. Each class, gunner, scout, driller, and engineer, brings unique tools and abilities, encouraging strong teamwork and role specialization. The Deluxe Edition throws in the Dark Future and Megacorp cosmetic packs, but the real star is the constant stream of free updates and seasonal content. It's endlessly replayable and just a blast to play. It's an 85 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 8 out of 10, and can take up to 300 hours to platinum. Persona 5 Royal is on sale for $20.99, and if you're into stylish, turn-based RPGs with incredible character work and music, this is an absolute must-buy. It's a massive, story-rich experience that blends dungeon crawling with high school life sim elements, and this version includes all the DLC, extra characters, and narrative additions that elevate the whole thing. It features a great battle system that really rewards strategic planning, and the writing holds up through its massive runtime. The art direction is iconic, the soundtrack is loaded with bangers, and the social link system adds a satisfying layer of progression between dungeons. It's a 95 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 2 out of 10, and around 120 hours to platinum. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is down to $41.99 and continues Square Enix's bold reimagining of the original classic with a huge open world, tons of party customization, and one of the best active time battle systems of the generation. The storytelling is stronger than ever, with big character moments that reward both new players and longtime fans, and it delivers one of the most cinematic RPG experiences you can play on PS5. Combat is fast, responsive, and deep, and the world is packed with optional content, mini-games, and side characters to discover. The scale of the environments is huge compared to the first game, and there's an emotional weight to everything that pays off massively by the end. It's a 92 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 8 out of 10, and around 200 hours to platinum. The Talos Principle, Reawakened, brings back one of the most thoughtful and meditative puzzle games of the last decade, now rebuilt from the ground up for PS5 with completely modern visuals and DualSense support that adds a layer of tactile immersion to the quiet mystery of the world. You play as an android navigating a surreal ancient world filled with intricate environmental puzzles, philosophical musings, and subtle narrative choices that challenge the nature of consciousness and free will. There's no platinum trophy here, which may be a bummer for some, but it's still a pretty manageable 25 hours if you want to see and solve everything. It's an 89 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 6 out of 10, and around 25 hours to 100%. Just be aware that one of the trophies is currently broken, so hopefully Crow Team fixes it soon. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth Deluxe Edition is $33.99 and easily one of the funniest and most heartfelt RPGs you'll play this year, continuing Ichiban's journey with a blend of absurd humor and genuinely touching moments. The new Hawaii setting offers a fresh vibe for the series while still keeping all the over-the-top combat and outrageous side quests the series is known for. There are tons of jobs to try out, a whole Animal Crossing style management minigame, and the turn-based combat remains fun and strategic. The Deluxe Edition comes with some useful XP boosts and character perks that help smooth out the pacing early on, and the Master Vacation Pack, which includes New Game Plus and a bonus dungeon. It's an 89 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and around 90 hours to platinum. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 Gold Edition is $62.99, and while it's a newer release, this bundle already includes the base game and all the early content, making it a solid pickup if you're into grounded medieval RPGs. It's a slow burn, focusing on realism and historical immersion, with deep systems around stamina, armor, swordplay, and dialogue. The sequel improves on everything from the first game, especially in terms of quest variety, animations, and performance. The world feels very lived in, with factions and politics that impact how characters treat you, and every upgrade feels earned through effort rather than grinding. It's an 88 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 5 out of 10, and around 130 hours to platinum. Horizon Forbidden West is down to $29.99, and if you've been holding off on this one, now's a great time to jump in, especially with the DLC out there too. The world is lush and full of mechanical creatures that you'll need to hunt, tame, and dismantle with a huge arsenal of tools and weapons, and it's packed with quality of life upgrades over the first game. Aloy's story is still the main focus, but the supporting cast and side missions really shine here, making it feel like a true step forward for the franchise. The skill tree allows for different builds depending on your playstyle, and the new traversal options open up exploration in a really satisfying way. It's an 88 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 35 hours to platinum. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance Digital Deluxe Edition is $31.49, and this is the best way to experience SMTV if you missed it on Switch. This version includes 2 major story routes, improved visuals and performance, and tons of balance tweaks to make it feel like the definitive edition. Combat is brutally tough but extremely rewarding, and Demon Fusion is still one of the most addictive systems in all of JRPGs. The story leans darker than Persona, but it's still packed with philosophical choices and intense battles that challenge you every step of the way. It also features a huge cast of demons, all with distinct strengths and weaknesses, and the new side quests help flesh out the world. It's an 87 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 2 out of 10 depending on which difficulty you pick, and around 110 hours to platinum. Final Fantasy XVI is on sale for $29.99, and while it's a departure from the series' turn-based roots, it's a cinematic action game that goes hard on spectacle and boss fights. The combat feels like Devil May Cry meets traditional Final Fantasy, with flashy moves and smooth character control, and Clive's journey is one of the most emotionally charged arcs we've seen in a while. The world is a bit more segmented than you'd expect, but it still offers side quests, exploration, and big moments of visual storytelling. The icon battles are straight up playable anime episodes, and the voice work, especially in English, is top tier. It's an 87 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 75 hours to platinum. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle Premium Edition is $69.99, and this one's a bold mix of old-school adventure and modern FPS mechanics, offering cinematic moments that feel ripped straight out of the films. You'll get the premium content bundled in, including a story expansion down the line and extra cosmetics. It's not just about punching Nazis and solving puzzles, there's a real emphasis on pacing and environmental storytelling that makes each chapter feel different. The whip mechanics are surprisingly fun, and the puzzles do a great job of making you feel like a clever explorer rather than just an action hero. It's an 86 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 45 hours to platinum. Dragon's Dogma 2 is down to $29.39, and if you like RPGs with deep combat systems and emergent gameplay, this is an easy recommendation. The pawn systems return with even more flexibility, and the new vocations feel distinct and satisfying. There's a ton of optional content, and the way the world reacts to your choices makes each run feel a bit different. Climbing on enemies in combat is still a blast, and the sense of danger never fully disappears even when you're leveled up. Some technical issues are still around, but the core gameplay loop is so good it's hard to put down. It's an 86 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 4 out of 10, and around 50 hours to platinum. Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition is $35.49, and this is the definitive version of the game, including the full Phantom Liberty expansion and all the major updates CDPR has pushed out. The new police system, skill trees, and vehicle combat all completely rework the core experience into something much tighter and more engaging. Night City still looks incredible on PS5, and the story hits even harder with the refined pacing and stronger dialogue. Phantom Liberty alone is worth the price, offering a spy thriller vibe with new characters and meaningful choices. It's an 86 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 70 hours to platinum. Shadow Gambit, the Cursed Crew Complete Edition is $34.99, and it's a real gem for fans of stealth tactics from the same devs who made Desperados 3 and Shadow Tactics. You're commanding a crew of undead pirates, each with their own unique powers, in an open-ended island setting full of guards to sneak past, distract, or eliminate. The Save Anytime system encourages experimentation, and the world design lets you approach objectives however you like. It's got charm, style, and smart level design that rewards clever thinking, and the Complete Edition includes all post-launch content. It's an 85 on Metacritic, trophy difficulty around 3 out of 10, and around 75 hours to platinum. If you've made it this far, thank you. Seriously, this is a monster sale so far with a ton of great stuff to cover, and I hope this video helped you find something new to play or reminded you of something you'd been meaning to grab. If you've played any of these already, drop your thoughts in the comments. Your insights help others find great games too, it's not just mine. Definitely let me know in the comments if you ended up picking up any of the stuff I've covered. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Seriously, you just listened to me talk for this long. Leave a like, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.